Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, I'll be going through my AFL Fantasy team preview for round 4, going through the trades that I'm making and the reasoning behind them, as well as some long-term reasoning behind those trades. A lot of people just think of the short term, the 1 to 2 weeks, but I'm sort of thinking about 3, 4, 5 weeks in front and thinking about how am I going to structure my team up. And using general projections to figure that out, as well as go through my VC and captain, which at the moment is dependent on team news, and we'll get into that in more detail in the video. So before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on. We have seen some massive growth today and over the last even in the last 4 or 5 weeks, and yeah, still hunting for that 500 subs by the by the buys. Which is in 8 or so weeks, 8 to 12 weeks, somewhere in that range. If we can get to 500 by then, I'll be stoked. But anyway, let's go into the video here. So I hope I didn't give it away, my trades, but if we just make it larger, here we go. That's really weird that it's there we go. It sort of makes the icons really small if you go another size up or whatever. Yeah, that's really weird. But yeah. Harry Sheasel at the moment is my VC, and that is contingent on we'll get into this later, but there is some contingencies, and he probably won't end up my VC if I get what I want from the selection table. Hayden Young is perfectly solid into D2. Elliot Yeo, sorry, that's actually wrong, because I didn't reorder everything price wise when I did my trade video on Tuesday night, and then I redid my trades and I didn't sort out the prices again. So yeah, Lockie Whitfield in D2. I was like, why is the team so I didn't feel right having Yo at D3. But yeah, Whitfield D2, I'm really happy about this. Should Gold Coast Suns playing at Adelaide Hills. Not sure what exactly to expect here from him, but 104 break even. I'm hoping for 100 score again. If he can go absolutely huge and grab like a huge score like he did against Collingwood, then we'll wait and see. But yeah, just hoping he gets a large amount of kicks, because that'll be crucial to his scoring. Hayden Young, he came back with a bang and is currently now the 27th ranked player for the whole comp in terms of average. If we look at also his position and then we go by average, you'll see that there's only 4 guys ahead of him, including Whitfield and Sheasel, so that makes 6. So he's a top 6 defender at the moment. Mitch Duncan's played 2 games, so I expect him to drop off. And then you've also got Andrew McGrath here, who I expect to drop off as well, who has gone 2 good games and a bad game, and I expect him to have another bad game and drop down to sort of that 90 average. So in essence, we're saying that Hayden Young is probably a top 4 defender. And yeah, so I'm really happy with that selection. Hayden Young we got at 90, and he's already going 10 above his average effectively. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Elliot Yeo's been the surprise package of the year, especially after the first round of a 70 in a low stoppage game. Plays the Swans, who will bring back some more toughness in Taylor Adams. So expect it could be a little bit. Well, also where do they play at? They're playing at Adelaide Hills, so that isn't a really small ground. I expect Elliot Yeo to do well again. Against the Swans. I think he's the lead midfielder, and especially if they bring Duggan into the back line, because Burgil seems with his appendix surgery 3 or 4 weeks away, so I expect Duggan to play more backline. That'll mean that Elliot Yeo he's going to get still the same role in midfield, but there's not really going to be any other midfielder next to him. Would like to see his TOG really increase just a teensy bit, up to sort of that 75 range, because if he gets 75 TOG, he will get that 100. I think Zach Williams is sort of he's an issue, but it isn't an issue that needs to be necessarily traded out just yet. And a 44 break even against Fremantle at Adelaide Oval. Freo should supply him with some form of score through like kickouts and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not worried about Zach Williams yet. I still think he can trudge along at 60s and 70s at least. and that'll be a good enough. That'll be good enough to actually still get some price rises out of him. And then in 3 to 4 weeks, we'll look at him and it'll be sort of 560k, and then we can just upgrade a rookie with him to get up to a primo, or we can combine two but you can also look at maybe using a Blake Howes and Zach Williams to get up to someone. Then you have Massimo, 58 projected score. I'm really not too fussed about him either. And yeah, he will go up in cash. And actually, that's actually wrong in pricing order anyway. So yeah, Massimo, D5, 581k. And yeah, he's just got to get up to, he's just got to get another sort of 100k or so, and I'll be happy. 44 break even. They sort of, if you look at his projections, they have him actually... They project him 58, 61, 51, and he's averaging 83, so I'm not too fussed about him, to be honest with you. And yeah, I think if he averages 80 across the next sort of 3-4 weeks, that'll get him probably another, I would say probably, 20k, 15, 20. I would say it's probably over the next 4 weeks going to get him, if he averaged 80, another sort of up towards that sort of 650k range. And that is exactly where we sort of need him to just cop an 450k rookie up alongside a little bit of cash, and you can get him up to a 900k defender. And then you'll have your defenders sort of sorted by probably round 10 or 11. Just going to be a little bit mindful of the buys. Blake Howes, I think with Marty Hall out and Stephen May in, it should help him a little bit more, as I feel like, what's Blake Howes' height? I'm going to check that on my phone here, because I'm pretty sure he was playing sort of as a key defender. Height, let's just see, he is 191. With Stephen May, Jake Lever as well back, it should help him. And let's just look at I just want to quickly double check on their team lists. They've got, where is it here? Stephen May, Tom McDonald, Jake Lever. So he sort of becomes that fourth tool. And that fourth tool can really get that distributing role. He's currently on Jake Saligo. So that just shows that it should help him, should really help him, and I genuinely think that he will do better, because last week, if we look at the matchup that he had last week, and I'm not sure if this was 100% the matchup that he actually had, you will see that he was on, where is he? He was on Charlie Dixon last week, it says here. So yeah, it just shows that I think he should get a slightly easier matchup, and that will provide him with a little bit more points scoring ability. And I don't think the backs really scored well last week from memory anyway from Melbourne. So I wouldn't be trading him out yet. There isn't much of an issue yet. I still think he will outscore his 23 that he scored last week. And that'll mean that he's still going to probably make some cash. And if he gets another 60, that is going to probably bump his break-even back down to probably 15 or so. Like, look at the fixture status here. A 31 break even, he goes 55, and the break even actually stays at 35. So that's an interesting one. I thought it would drop a little bit, but maybe that's just because of the good scores here start to drop out of the system, so he actually doesn't gain anything. But maybe if he goes back to a 70, that break even starts to drop down back towards that sort of 25 range, 20 range, and then that he can just be traded out at his buy. To be honest with you, it's as simple as that. Zach Reed as well, just not playing, but he's, I believe, 3 weeks away. Let me just double check that with Essendon's injury list. And then I'll double check that. I believe he's 3 weeks away, which sort of sucks. Let's just see. Durham, no one else here really. Zach Reed, 3 weeks away with the hamstring. So, yep, that sucks a little bit that he's still 3 weeks away and probably plays one in the VFL. But that'll be some good cash generation when he comes back, as I expect him to beat that break even, or at least get close to that break even and start to generate cash over again. So at this point, with 3 weeks to go and having held him already, I don't see there being much of a trade out option there anyway. So I'm just going to hold with him at the moment, as when he comes back, I expect him to do all right. Bontempelli, I saw some people asked, should you trade him? I wouldn't be trading him, to be honest with you. He's about 2 or 3 weeks away from probably exploding again. So I'm going to just hold it out. And the only real difference with a lot of us with the cash generation and team value is the difference in Bontempelli compared to Sarong, which is effectively about 250k in itself, and only and if you hold them both, only about 160 of that k is really realized, I'm pretty sure. So it's not actually that big of a gap to a lot of the top teams that don't have Bont. So I'd like to see the biggest value team with Bont, team value wise, and see that, as I would be just trading in Bont in a couple of weeks' time when he gets around that sort of, I think, 950k range or so in about 2 to 3 weeks' time, once you've got the Grundy to Marshall, and also getting in Nick Dacos if you don't have him back in when he goes after the Port game, I believe. And let me just check that. They have, where is it? Yeah, round 6, they have Collingwood has Port, and then you just get him after that, as you may have some price drop after that where you can get him a little bit weaker. But if we go to Nick Dacos in itself, you will see that after Port he has Essendon, Carlton. He's going to start scoring 120s after this, in my opinion. So you may cop a little bit of a price drop technically with this Essendon game for Nick Dacos. But you're not going to really, the 120 points or whatever that he scores, most likely it's going to be more beneficial. Butters, I think he's fine at the moment. Wouldn't be trading him out. You went for him because he scores well, and he's going 2 points above his average at the moment. You would like to see a little bit more, but he did score a 79, and if you take the 79 out, he was scoring 112. So I think with more 100 scores and less sort of those 79s, he should be fine. And yeah, has Essendon this weekend. We saw how the Swans have scored really well against them. Didn't Steele play them last week as well? And he put up a big score. So yeah, I'm expecting the likes of Butters to do well. Nick Martin, you could think about putting the VC on Martin, but I don't think he's going to score like a 145 again. He just had a lot of disposals. Is playing at Adelaide Oval, so that is a positive. It is one of the bigger grounds. But he was playing at the MC, was it Marvel last week that he scored the big score? So, yeah, he could score it again, but I'm not willing to risk it on him. I think I'd go for the safer matchup, and Port probably will put some time into him, I reckon, with someone. Not necessarily Willem Drew, but I think one of the forwards will just run with him. Bonner could be dropped at selection table. We'll wait and see, and this may impact my trades. You haven't actually seen you've seen Tom Powell here, but you haven't actually seen the trades. So yeah, Bonner could be the one that goes, but it'll be simple. You actually see it probably actually helps me if Bonner is traded out, as I can just go James Jordan next week, who is currently the one that's being traded out. That will be that could potentially stay in the side, as I've said multiple times. And I understand people thinking this, but in my personal opinion, I don't think Jordan is heavily impacted by the West Coast matchup. I think he's actually almost worse off because Taylor Adams is coming back into the side, and I just think he gets that sort of annoying naggy role that can't really score well. So that's why I want to trade him out, even though he has the West Coast matchup. But Bonner Bonner, if he does get dropped, will be a trade out. It's as simple as that. He could be also the one that goes for Grundy for Grundy's upgrade next week, potentially. And then also for those people that picked it up in the, in the trade targets video, I think I named that Jackson. I completely forgot about Jackson with the Max Gawn talk for about 2 or 3 minutes, and that Jackson can just slide in, and I didn't realize he was 33% owned. Yeah, so that's my fault a little bit. But yeah, so Bonner, Billings, and Jordan, 2 of them will go, obviously, and Billings is one of them. So it's one of Bonner or Jordan, depending on selections, and I expect Jordan not to get dropped, but there is a slight potential. I'm just saying maybe 15-20% potential that Bonner gets dropped. I don't see there being anyone that potentially could come in for him, especially with Windhager's suspension, meaning that Sinclair's probably going to spend more time in the middle. So I reckon he won't get dropped, but it may be just give it to Wangadeen Malira and let him do the kicking. So Coburn, McKercher, Sanders, Roberts, they're all fine there. Jeremy Sharp as well is potentially the plan, and I may as well just show you now. There is a plan in which I would rather play Jeremy Sharp over Darcy Wilson. Put it simply like that. So if Bonner does get dropped, then Jeremy Sharp comes on, I play the 4 rookies, and then I play Ollie Dempsey becomes F6, and also James Jordan just becomes F5. And that's basically the different scenario that I have playing out. But yeah, 3 rookies here. These are my preferred 3. Jeremy Sharp is my 4th preferred rookie. And then obviously you've got Ollie Dempsey actually probably is the 4th preferred rookie. Then Jeremy Sharp. And then probably even Jai Clark before Darcy Wilson. Just because of the role. Charlie Lazaro is one that I want to watch as well. If Mana gets dropped, I can see Lazaro score, use Mana as the sub, and that's how, now explaining my VC's captaincy options, just quickly before we get on to the rest of the side, is that I want to be able to do the Isaac Heaney VC against West Coast into a Jack Steele captain against Richmond, but I need one of the Geelong boys to get dropped, and there is talk that Jai Clark could be rested. There is also talk that, Mana might not make it back into the side as well. And I think there is a strong possibility that Mana isn't there. So that'll give me that potential loophole option anyway. And yeah, I can do that either way here with because we'll have known Charlie Lazaro's score before Jeremy Sharp plays, right? I'm right in saying that. So I can then flip Mana into the midfield. So I can do this and then just do that. And then that's effectively what I want to do if I want to take Heaney's score, who is the Heaney's score will happen 420, 130. So it'll be a little bit tight with that. But I think I can, if I like Heaney's score, I can't actually move Roberts, but I can move a Sanders I'll be able to move a Sanders, right? And I'm right in saying that? Yes, I can move a Sanders. So in essence, it will turn out to be a maneuver like this. And I actually need to fix that because Roberts is there. My price ordering, again, messed up. But Sanders will move on to the bench. His emergency score will be taken. And then if he actually has a shocker, then I can just flip it back. But yeah, I want to be able to have access to the Heaney VC if possible. And that comes at the selection table with Sean Manor probably being the useful one there. Brody Grundy, Max Gawn, and then Harry Barnett in the in the R3. These 2 are going well. You've all heard about me for the last about month saying Brody Grundy up to Marshall this next week on his bye. It's just a matter of who do I do it to. I do want to be able to do it from probably a Seth Campbell, to be honest with you, as I like Charlie Lazaro's score and ability for him potentially to go 80 or 90 in the role that he's got as that sort of 4th or 5th midfielder. So I like that role better. So that's the reason that I want to be able to trade out Seth Campbell. If we think about it now, Seth Campbell can go to effectively anyone, as I can put Sean Manor in there. I may want to go to another mid forward or whatever that, and we do have all of those rookies that are playing actually now thinking about it. So you do have the likes of, if I just go here to all positions and then selected to play, is that going to give me the it doesn't give me them, but I can do this all statuses clubs, and we get a free look at 3. Here we go, prices 200 to 299k. We get a look at Will Graham 225k. We get a look at Ethan Reid 276k. And we get a look at Sam Closey, 200k defender who's going to be playing on the wing. So these all could be avenues to getting, Seth Campbell out of the side. It could also be an avenue to getting Blake Howes out of the side as well, if you see what I mean there with the 2 defenders. So that is also an avenue to getting Brody Grundy up, and and that avenue with Blake Howes should actually be easier, as I expect Rowan Marshall to be potentially about 990k, and that gap is about 270k. I have a 96 in the bank, so that's roughly about 180k needed out of Howes and Grundy's current score, and Grundy should possibly beat his break-even of 74. So if he does do that, he's going to jump 25k, 20k potentially. And that'll just help cover. Blake Howes is currently 196k above his a 200k basement guy, and he also has potential to make 20-30k as well. But I do want to be able to do it with Seth Campbell, just because I feel like Blake Howes has the better potential cash generation in the last round before they bye, as both of them will probably be gone by their early bye in round 6. That was probably ultra confusing, but you will see that what I just said there, that sort of action plan play out in the next 10 to 12 days as I go through it. Which will be probably easier once we know the different variables of their prices, etc., and their break evens for the next round. It'll be a lot easier to show you what I mean. Luke Jackson, as I said, will probably do coverage for Max Gawn, and he'll probably do coverage for Max Gawn in round 6, just because he does have West Coast in round 6 at Optus Stadium. He averages 88 against West Coast. I am totally fine with that. And he may be played as sort of a 50-50 ruckman with Sam Darcy. Sam Darcy is expected back against the likes of Port. And Port at Adelaide Oval, I wouldn't be full-time rucking or majority rucking Sam Darcy. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was a 50-50 split there. And yes, Luke Jackson might suck against Port, but he does play West Coast, and then we can just trade him out in round 7. So that is sort of the plan there, and sort of get Rowan Marshall, potentially a Sam Flanders somewhere in here, in round maybe 7 or something. But also we want Nick Dacos, so that's sort of the 3 next big maneuvers there. Then we go Isaac Heaney. I want the VC on him, so let me just place the VC on him at the moment, and we'll see at selection table whether it needs to be flipped back to a Harry Sheasel. Tom Powell as well, 642k, brought him in. And here are the trades here: Ollie Dempsey and Tom Powell for Jack Billings and James Shaw. We also showed how the likes of a Riley Bonner could be used as well, and that'll just mean that Jeremy Sharp plays, and I'll find another avenue to get the sub in there. It probably is the same manner of same sort of strategy, with Mana coming on the Mana being moved here for Jai Clark or something like that, and then Sanders used as the emergency. Zach Fisher is holding his spot. Ollie Dempsey, I think, can generally be a top 15 in the forward line, and can almost be one of the last rookies held alongside the likes of a Matt Roberts, Coley McKercher. So, I mean, he is going to be one of the last rookies there, as I think probably Riley Sanders may overtake him, but I think Darcy Wilson needs to go. You're probably going to have D'Ambrosio and Zach Williams go beforehand. You're going to have probably Bonner go beforehand, and then you start to think about the likes of a trading out Ollie Dempsey, and that already thinking about it is 1, 2, 3... 4 is probably 5 weeks down the line anyway, and that's roughly around the time that Gary Rowan returns, and that's probably roughly around the time that if we look here at his projections, he's projected to go at 60. I think he can do better than that, and he's still projected to make 100k going at base 67, 46, 60. I think he can do a lot better than that, so I think he can make 200 to 220, 250k roughly. And that'll put him around that 670 range, and that'll be just an easy top up to a top forward, or he may even be a top forward at that time. Darcy Wilson, we'll see how Lazaro goes, but I want to play Darcy Wilson over Seth Campbell, to be honest, even though Seth Campbell has averaged 55 and Darcy Wilson has averaged 51. I think Darcy Wilson just had a stinker of a roll, and against Richmond, I think he can score a lot better. Just needs to get involved a little bit more, but hopefully St Kilda had a shocker in the in round 3 against Essendon. Hopefully he can get involved a little bit more, Darcy Wilson. And then you have Lazaro, Campbell and Mana on the bench. A slightly longer video than I probably anticipated, but that's how I can sometimes drag it on a little bit. But I guess that is my team preview for round 4 for AFL Fantasy. You will see my Supercoach team preview, and then also my tips, which probably not actually going the best now thinking about it. But anyway, that is the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.